From the beginning of Warzone back in 2020 to now in 2026, we've seen a total of 7 Call of Duty games being integrated into Warzone. So I compiled a list of each era of Warzone from all the way back in NW19 to now Black Ops 7 to rank them from worst to best. For each of these 4 categories, I'm going to be giving a score from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. And I'm going to be putting each Warzone era on a tier list. This is all strictly my opinion and not an actual ranking. Anyways, let's start with the worst integration of Warzone, that being Warzone 2. I'm going to give the fun a 1. I mean, yeah, this is easily the worst Warzone I've ever played in my life. Like, it got so bad to the point where I literally stopped playing this game as a whole for like a year straight when Warzone 2 was out. And I was still posting content as it is, but this game literally broke me to the point where I just literally just stopped playing this game. And mind you, this is the only era of Warzone where I literally just stopped playing it as a whole and just move on to something completely different. It was genuinely so hard to get on this game and have fun. Like, it felt like a chore every single time I played this game. One of the main reasons why I stopped playing this game is probably the movement. It literally killed this game for me. Not being able to slide cancel, bunny hop, and do all the movement text like I want to do, it just it's so bad. For content, I'm gonna give it a 5. In terms of content being brought into Warzone, I would say that MW2 Warzone had the biggest impact out of all the Warzone integrations we've got. Although without a doubt, this is the worst engine Warzone has ever seen. However, it did brought many features into the game, such as ranked play, proximity chat, the DMZ game mode, bat packs, water combat, dynamic resurgence, and so much more. And also another very big change, that being console players can now adjust their FOV to 120. But however, with that being said, they've also removed some very important content out of the game, such as slide canceling, which was a very big deal, the ability to buy loadout drops, and one-shot snipers, which basically killed one-shot sniping for this game as a whole. Although don't get me wrong, the game felt very slow and awful, but at least it kind of made it up with all the new content that was being added. For the weapons, I'm gonna give it a 2. The gunplay for these weapons just felt really bad. Horrible visual recoil, really fast time to kill, and having horrible weapon animations. Also, not to mention, this game brought weapon tuning, which nobody asked for this, and it was a terrible decision. As for the weapons themselves, to me, they were just kind of boring in my opinion. Some of the metas during this era were the RPK, the Fennec, ISO Hemlock, Lockman Sub, Cronus Squall, Vaznev, ISO 45, and many other weapons. For the maps, I'm hands down giving this a 5, no question. Starting off with Mazra, which was just okay in my opinion. Nothing really special about this map, to be honest. Then Ashika Island, which was a fan favorite for a lot of people. I definitely feel like this map is also really good as well. Then there's Vonda, which is arguably better than Rebirth Island to a lot of people. Me personally though, I don't think it's better than Rebirth Island, but I still really enjoy this map as a whole, and I hope they can add this map back into Black Ops 7, as it will fit perfectly for that game with the wall jumping mechanic. And with a higher player count on this map too, it created a very different experience compared to all the Resurgence maps. Overall, I am gonna give MW2 an F tier. I feel like this is obvious. I feel like everyone's seen this coming, and yeah, this is not even a debate. The next spot on our list is Black Ops 6. For fun, I'm gonna give it a 3. Nothing really special about this era really sticks out to me, and honestly, it was just kind of mid in my opinion. I definitely feel like the game was pretty decent for the first few seasons of the game, but then whenever they decided to add Verdansk back into the game, I definitely feel like the decline with me on this game really kicked in. But yeah, pretty much the first half of Black Ops 6 was pretty fun, and then it progressively got worse over time with me. For the content, I'm gonna give it a 4. This game introduced the most hyped movement mechanic to ever come to Warzone, that being Omni movement, which if you ask me, it was an amazing addition to the game, but most people might say otherwise, but I really like it personally. Being able to sprint in every direction while diving and sliding in every direction as well felt really nice. This game also introduced a simplified inventory system and a dedicated casuals game mode, which just fills the lobby with bots and a few real players. I don't know whether I should like this game mode being in the game or not, but you guys let me know down in the comments if you guys enjoy casuals. And also, the one thing I didn't really like what Black Ops 6 Warzone was doing was nostalgic baiting way too much. Like, it's okay if you do it once in a while, but I feel like for the entirety of Black Ops 6 Warzone, it just felt like nostalgic bait rather than try to create something new for us to remember. For the weapons, I'm gonna give it a 3. The guns in this game were decent for the most part, but then again, I just wish they would have stopped nostalgic baiting with the guns and add more new guns instead. Anyways, some of the metas during this era were the XM4, the Jackal PDW, the PP, the C9, the Cypher, Grau, KSV, LC10, and many other weapons. For the maps, I'm gonna give it a 2. Let's start off with Area 99, which is by far the most disappointing map that's ever came to Warzone. There was a ton of hype built around this map, and when it got released, it was not what we expected at all, and it immediately flopped. And now, Verdansk will later make a return for the first time, and it was really hyped for like a week or two, then everyone forgot about it. I just feel like Verdansk got worse whenever it came back, but that could just be me. And lastly, Rebirth Island got a visual overhaul change, and it looked absolutely terrible. It just looked so soulless and ugly as hell in my opinion. Like, you're telling me we went from this to this? Bruh. Now, I am gonna give Black Ops 6 a D tier. I feel like this is pretty reasonable. Like, the game's really not that good at all, and yeah. The next spot on our list is Black Ops 7. For the fun, I'm gonna give it a 3. The start of Black Ops 7 was definitely rough, I would say. I wasn't having that much fun as I would like. The game felt overall stale, and still is, in my opinion, feels like a direct copy of Black Ops 6 with just wall jumping included. However, lately though, Black Ops 7 is slowly making improvements to the game, which is always a good thing to see, but I don't know, it's really hard to tell what direction this game game is going in as of right now. For the content, I'm gonna give it a 3. Now, this is subjected to change later on in the game's life cycle, but as of right now in the Season 4 Reloaded update, which we've actually received a decent amount of content so far, such as the biggest piece of content we received being the return of Blackout from Black Ops 4, which included a brand new big map, that being Avalon, which I'll talk about more later in the maps category. Rebirth Island receiving seasonal changes like winter theme Rebirth, which, let's be honest, we've been asking for this for years now, and the brand new summer theme Rebirth, which looks absolutely amazing. For weapons, I'm gonna give it a 4. Surprisingly, Black Ops 7 delivered with some pretty interesting weapons, which most of them being pretty solid and fun to use. Some of the meta guns we've seen so far have been the MPC-25, the M15 mod, the Colgat 7, the Maddox, Rev 46, Carbon 57, Dravik 45, and many other weapons. For the maps, I'm actually gonna give it a 4 as well. Let's start off with Haven's Hollow, which at first I really enjoyed because it was different from anything we've received before. But however, as this era of Warzone progressively continues throughout the year, I started to realize that this map isn't really that good as I made it seem before. It feels like this map was getting shoved down our throats all the time. And that's another thing I want to mention as well. The map rotations in this game are absolutely terrible. A 10-minute timer is way too long and it should be shortened down to like 3 minutes or something. I talk more about Haven's Hollow in my every Warzone map ranked from worst to best video, so go check it out if you haven't already. Next, we've seen the introduction of Avalon, which is okay in my opinion, I think. I can't really give a full-on opinion about Avalon because, to be honest, I haven't really played that map that much to judge. But from my experience playing it, it was just alright, nothing really special besides the map being big as hell. Then Fortune's Keep will make another return, last being seen in MW3, with some new mini POIs which are cool, and the removal of the underground bunker with trenches in it, which I hated so much playing this map in MW3. And lastly, Rebirth Island has been surprisingly getting updated with the new seasonal themes, as I talked about earlier, being the winter and summer, which is always a good thing to see that COD is somewhat listening to the community, although that winter Rebirth lasted way too long. It was already summer and the winter Rebirth was still in the game. Thankfully, it got removed, but that took way too long. Now, I am gonna give Black Ops 7 a D tier. It is better than Black Ops 6, and it's definitely better than MW2, no question. And I feel like, yeah. Honestly, maybe at the end of the cycle, it could be a high C tier. It could just be like a C tier, like just mid C tier. But for right now, it's going to be a D tier with the Black Ops 6. The next spot on our list is Call of Duty Vanguard. For fun, I'm going to give it a 5. This era of Warzone is arguably regarded as one of the most fun, and especially Rebirth Island, which people would say, including myself, that this was Rebirth Island's peak. Don't get me wrong though, Vanguard was pretty broken in terms of weapon balancing, planes, in the game itself, but somehow it was still pretty fun. For content, I'm going to give it a 3. There was a decent amount of content that was brought into this game, such as redeploy balloons, which are absolutely clutch for rotations and made the game way more fast-paced. Then we have airplanes, which nobody asked for, and these were extremely broken if you're using one of these. And the infamous Ricochet anti-cheat, which basically was non-existent at the time because it literally didn't work at all. For the weapons, I am 100% giving this a 5. Some of the most iconic and fun metas were a part of this era of Warzone. Don't get me wrong though, they were broken as hell and far more superior than any Modern Warfare and Cold War gun at the time. And you could literally put on all 10 attachments, including the perks, which is insane to even think about how they thought this was okay for them to do. But regardless of that, some of the metas that were part of this era were the Bren, MP40, Cooper Carbine, STG, H4 Blixer, Marco 5, PPSH, Wellgun, and so many other guns that were insanely good. This era of Warzone was definitely stacked when it came to weapons. For the maps though, I'm gonna give it a 3. Let's start with Caldera, which is probably the worst map that's ever came out in Warzone history. This map had a cool concept, but it was executed very horribly with terrible rotations and POIs, making this map feel really bad to play on. And if you were on console while playing this map, it ran horribly as well. Oh, and remember those planes I was talking about earlier? Yeah, this map was infested with these planes, and it made the overall experience on this map worse. However, the planes did get removed later on, but it didn't even matter because this map was so bad anyways. Fortune's Keep was actually like a refreshing taste. It was the second ever Resurgence map added to Warzone, and honestly, it was pretty good for what it was. I definitely feel like this map is way overhated. And obviously, I cannot talk about maps without mentioning Sunset Rebirth, which, oh my god, this looks so beautiful. Like, I don't know why this hasn't been added back to the game. Overall though, I am gonna give Vanguard probably a I don't know, probably a B tier though. I don't think it's a C tier necessarily because like it definitely was pretty fun, I would say, but I'm gonna say B tier though. I feel like that's a pretty good reasonable spot. And yeah, the next spot on our list is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. For the fun, I am obviously giving this a 5. This was the start of Warzone, and it was released a day before the pandemic actually started. Launched Warzone quickly became people's go-to game during the majority of the pandemic, including mine as well. Although I was pretty shit at the game, I remember having so much fun, and many unforgettable memories were made during this time. For the content, I'm gonna give it a 5 as well. With the new Battle Royale in the COD franchise, it gave a lot of hype surrounding it, and it absolutely delivered. With the new concept being the 1v1 gulag to bring you back into the game, to what people seem to believe believed that Battle Royale was a dead genre, it quickly made people fall in love with Warzone. This game debuted the many iconic mechanics we still have in this game today, such as the loadout drops, buy stations, contracts, armor plate system, gas circle mechanics, and the list goes on. Keycard bunkers, which were an amazing addition, alongside with constant Easter eggs to complete, and the hidden subway, which granted you many overpowered things. This era of Warzone also introduced the Haunting of Verdansk, which is in my opinion one of the best events ever added to Warzone. And also Plunder was debuted during this era as well. For the weapons, I'm gonna give it a 5. This era introduced many fan favorite metas, including the Grau, Kilo, Amax, MP5, Bruin, HDR, Kar 98, and so many others. And for the maps, I'm gonna give it a 5 as well. Although we only had one map, that being Verdansk, many people were actually okay with that, and it had the 150 player count to keep the pacing right. And Verdansk being one of the most iconic battle royale maps in history, and a fan favorite among people, including myself. Overall though, for Modern Warfare, I am gonna give it an A tier. I don't think it's S tier necessarily. Yes, it's pretty nostalgic, but that doesn't mean it's S tier. And the points I'm giving out for each category doesn't really reflect on the tier list. This is just solely my opinion, how I feel about the era itself, so I'm gonna give it A tier. I feel like Modern Warfare was good, but like I don't think it's necessary S tier. The next spot on our list is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. For the fun, I'm gonna give it a 5. This era was basically reverting what Warzone 2 did while making it 100 times better. Smoother mechanics like gunplay and many other features I will talk about made this game very enjoyable for me. Although I'll admit I didn't really play Warzone that much during this time as I would like to, but whenever I did play, I always had a really good time playing this. For the content, I'm absolutely no doubt giving this a 5. This is probably the most content we've ever seen come to Warzone. But let's start off with the most important update in Warzone's history, that being the return of Rebirth Island after a year and a half not being in the game for the Season 3 update of NW3, which was a huge success for Warzone and helped turn Warzone 3 around as a whole. Slide canceling made a return, you could reload while sprinting again, faster movement speed, increased base health to 150, the introduction of ranked Resurgence, which in my opinion runs and plays better than normal traditional rank. There was also a lot of fan favorite LTMs introduced during this time of Warzone, such as Purgatory, which in my opinion is the best LTM that's ever came to Warzone. It was basically like a playground mode where you could do whatever you want and it was super fun. Loaded Resurgence, where you spawn with your loadout and perks, which quickly became one of my favorites. Lockdown Quads, where you have objectives across the map where all the action would be and you spawn with your loadout as well. High Trap Resurgence, where the map was super vibrant and you could get different perks like faster reload speed, movement speed, double the loot, and have enemies highlighted for you whenever you look at them. Overall, Warzone 3 brought a lot of amazing content to the game. For the weapons, I'm also giving this a 5. There was a lot of amazing weapons that came to this game. This game had the best gunplay we've ever seen out of any Warzone before. The animations of the guns were super smooth and satisfying to use, which made the guns even more enjoyable. But however, I think the most interesting thing about these weapons specifically is that you could add conversion kits onto them, which allowed you to change your gun completely. For an example, you could turn a pistol into an SMG or an AR into an SMG, which is how we got the Renetti SMG, which is regarded as one of the most broken metas we've ever seen before, and the MCW SMG, which is really fun to use. This definitely gave the guns more of a variety in terms of playstyles with loadouts, and it was super fun. Some of the metas during this era were the Ram 7, Ram 9, HRM 9, BP 50, WSP Swarm, Static HV, Renetti Conversion Kit, STG, and my personal favorite SMG, that being the Superior and the infamous Kar 98, along with many other weapons as well. For maps, I'm gonna give this a 5. Let's start with Urzikstan, which I thought was a pretty decent big map, but the main reason why I'm giving this a 5 is because the amount of maps we've had in this game at the same time. We've had, of course, Urzikstan, then Vondel, then Ashika Island, then Fortunescape, and then Rebirth Island all in the same game, which is crazy to even think about now. Overall though, I am going to give Modern Warfare 3 an S tier. I feel like it did an amazing job coming from Modern Warfare 2 all the way to Modern Warfare 3, which is kind of a gap here that's kind of insane, and yeah, Modern Warfare 3 is honestly really appreciated. The final spot on our list is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. For the fun, I'm gonna give it a 5. This era of Warzone to me was when Warzone as a whole was at its absolute peak. And it's also when I started making content for this game as well. This era of Warzone, I would say, is where I made the most memories that I'll never forget. For the content, I'm 100% giving this a 5. Let's start off with the brand new game mode that was being introduced into Warzone, that being Resurgence, which single-handedly brought new players into the game. Being able to spawn after you die with a Resurgence timer provided a new gameplay experience we've never seen before in any battle royale. This game mode quickly started a trend where people would only play this game mode, and I mean only this game mode only, including myself. Without the addition of Resurgence, this game would be in a very different place right now. This mode also came out with the most iconic map in Warzone history, that being Rebirth Island, which I'll talk about more later. This era also introduced some very good LTMs, such as Iron Charles, where their health was increased to 250, making it harder to kill people. And this was Warzone's first taste in the competitive atmosphere, as there wasn't ranked for the entirety of Warzone 1. The 80s action heroes, where you could get massive POIs that shook up your experience. Then we had the destruction of Verdansk, where it was an endgame event, where everybody who died playing this event would turn into a zombie and help kill other players, with the objective of surviving as long as possible as the timer was expiring, where Verdansk would get blown up by a massive missile destroying Verdansk as a whole, and the aftermath led to Verdansk being unplayable, and Rebirth Island was turned into nighttime, which I'll go more into detail in the maps category. But after nighttime rebirth, we went from the year of 2021 to 1984, which brought the updated Verdansk 84. It was safe to say there was a lot of content that was brought into this game that changed Warzone forever. For the weapons, I'm also giving this a 5. Now, let's start off by discussing the elephant in the room with the metas. This era had the most broken gun to ever come to Warzone, that being the DMR. I mean, this gun was just everywhere and everybody was using it, and rightfully so. I mean, this is the worst meta we've ever seen before, and it made the game pretty enjoyable for a brief moment of time. I swear, getting killed by this thing from across the map was genuinely one of the most frustrating things ever. And also, I didn't forget about the other broken metas in this game that came along with it, that being the AUG/M16, dual Diamati's, which were insane, and the FFAR and MAC-10. Some of the other metas during this time were the Kar98, Farah 83, Bullfrog, Krig 6, OTS9, and many other weapons. For maps, I'm obviously giving this a 5. This era literally introduced Rebirth Island, which is the best map that's ever came to Warzone, no question. It's easily the most iconic Warzone map, and whenever I think about Warzone, I immediately think of this map entirely. This map just flows perfectly, and the POIs and everything is just pure perfection. Earlier, I did mention Rebirth Island being at nighttime, which was a pretty cool experience to say the least. If you never got the chance to play this version of Rebirth, I low-key feel so bad for you. This was an experience that would never be played again, because I guess Call of Duty doesn't know how to make a nighttime Rebirth Island again. Like, bruh, what is this shit? Nighttime Rebirth also introduced us to Control Center, which quickly became one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic POI on this map. And the other map we received is Verdansk 84, which is basically a reskin of Verdansk set in the year 1984, obviously. And there's people that would say this version of Verdansk is better than the original one, but you guys let me know down in the comments which version of Verdansk is better. Now, Cold War, obviously, it is going to be a S tier. It's the best era we've ever had, and let me know what you guys think about this tier list. If you guys like it, what should change or whatever, and yeah. If you guys watched through the whole video, I wanted to say thank you guys so much, and comment down below what was your favorite Warzone era. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. YouTube thinks you like this video on your screen right now, so go check it out and see if they're right.